Welcome to Out of the Closet Into the World, a podcast dedicated to celebrating authenticity, embracing our true selves, and creating a world where love and inclusivity truly shines. I'm your host, Ada Arencibia, and each month we'll bring you powerful stories, inspiring interviews, and real conversations that lift up the LGBTQ plus community and their allies. Whether you are on your own journey of self-discovery, standing up for equality, or simply looking to learn and grow, this space is for you. Together, we'll break down barriers, challenge misconceptions, and share the strength in our stories. So wherever you are, whatever your truth may be, step into the world with us. Let's embrace who we are and make a difference, one voice at a time. Let's get started. Today's guest is truly one of a kind, my friend Michael Goodman, an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and nationally acclaimed Cher impersonator. For over 30 years, he's led the PR world with his firm, Goodman Public Relations. But that's just part of his story. Michael's Share the Good Fund has made a huge impact supporting LGBTQ plus causes and changing lives. From dazzling audiences as Michael Dean to giving back to his community, he is the perfect example of living boldly and staying true to yourself. Stick around. We are diving into the amazing journey of a man, breaking boundaries and inspiring us all. Welcome to Out of the Closet Into the World, the podcast where we'll break down walls, lift up voices, and celebrate the strength of being your true self. I'm your host, Ada Arencibia. We will hear inspiring stories of people who have faced challenges and embrace who they really are. Join me on this journey of honesty, empowerment, and change. Together, let's step out of the closet and into the world. Let's dive in. Hey, Michael, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? I'm so glad to be talking with you.
I am so excited to have you here on the show, and I cannot wait to hear your story. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Are you excited?
I am. Anything for you.
Now, Michael, your journey to where you are now is so inspiring. Let's go back to the beginning. You grew up in Plantation, Florida, and started a landscaping business at just 17. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I was pretty industrious when I was younger. I actually was kind of like a nanny to 3 doctors' wives' kids. And then I had a passion for landscaping, and I took it to another level and would landscape for people's homes, and it got the attention of the newspaper. I was on the front cover. But I created my own little business, and I actually thought I was going to be a landscape architect or stay in landscaping the rest of my life, but it just didn't happen that way. But I still to this day have a passion for plants.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and how did your early years shape the person that you are today?
That's a good question. My parents were good people. They meant well. They both worked. We weren't rich, but we were certainly more, back then more, the middle income was more, available. And I went to school, worked hard, didn't party, didn't do drugs, had very little friends. But I worked. I worked in a restaurant. I did the landscaping. I babysat. So at a young age, I was just always very industrious. But it was also because I isolated, and that was what I did. So at some point, I remember driving around the gay bars and just kind of figuring out who I was. And one time I went in to the club. It was called Backstreet, and I was of age. And I remember walking in, and there was a drag show going on. And it was, I think her name was Belle Kincaid at the time. And I was totally blown away. Like, oh my God, this is the life. I found heaven. And little by little, I immersed myself into the gay community more. I became a little bit more out and experienced a lot of new things. And then Cher came about at a lot later, but I dabbled in drag. I was dabbled playing that little role, and I never thought I was pretty enough as the opposite sex. And
Okay.
then 50 years old, Cher came about, and there you go.
I love that. Now, how did your early interest or passion, whether it was landscaping or something else, shape the trajectory of your life?
I think I always wanted to do better than my parents, and honestly, that's what shaped my life. I didn't really have anything I didn't get when I was a kid. We certainly weren't rich, but my parents were very generous, and my family was generous. But I remember hearing conversations with my parents, worrying about bills, worrying about this and that, and I would tell myself, I'm never going to live like that. And so I realized the only way to accomplish that was to work my ass off and get a college degree. And I did. I put myself through school, and I worked 3 jobs at that time to do that. And then everything changed when my mom died. My mom died in a car accident when she was 43 years old. I was
Oh,
told to
wow.
go home, and that was the impetus for me to get my ass in gear
Hmm.
and move out, seek better employment, and my life changed.
How old were you when mom passed away?
I think I was 20 or 21. So the only thing that was, weird at that time is I started dating an older guy that she did not like. She didn't like that I was gay, but then she didn't like this gentleman. And so when she died, our relationship was a little bit tattered.
Mm,
I don't regret that, but it's just unfortunate that it was at that time. But at that point, I realized I had to do this on my own. My dad was
right.
me, and it kind of pushed me forward. And I started to live life as me
Mm.
on my own, and it was the
Now,
best thing that ever happened.
and at that time, what do you feel you could have done differently to be able to, make your relationship with mom a little bit better?
I don't think anything. To be honest, it was very hard for her to accept me being gay. But a funny story, and I think I sent you one of the pictures. One time I was dressed the opposite sex for Halloween, and that's maybe where it began, Halloween. But one time I was leaving the house, and she offered me something to wear. And,
Mm.
and there's a picture that I might have sent you in a gold turban. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
that was from her. And it was the weirdest thing. So, in a way, I think it was just the way she was brought up, and she was afraid that I was going to get AIDS and die. And I mean, she vocalized that. I think it was more fear that I wouldn't have a happy life. Um, and she just didn't realize because she wasn't exposed to gay people. She didn't know that all you see was what you see on the news. So she didn't realize that people could live a happy life, people could be in relationships and be coupled. So I think it was just education, and I couldn't have fixed that.
Mm.
Maybe if she had
Th-
lived longer and she saw my trajectory, it would have been different. I think it would have, because my father changed his tune at a later time.
yeah, I feel like, back in the day, the way that our parents were brought up and, raised, they were in a different mindset and a different mentality. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, were there any defining moments in your childhood that made you realize your path was going to be a bit different from others?
When I first came out and started exploring, I would spray my hair with glitter and gold. I would wear different kinds of clothes. I started to explore with makeup. So I got an earring, all kinds of little things that kind of gave me a little exploration of who I was going to be. But at some point, and I spoke about this at a Spirit Airlines lecture that I gave to their employees, at some point I realized that to reach the level of success that I wanted, that there was a certain level of conformity that had to take place. And
Mm-hmm.
that, from 9 to 5, I was able to conform. And if I wanted to deviate, that started at 7 p.m. And I
Yeah.
began to live my life that way. And it was fine. I had 2 lives, and it was fine. And little by little, as I got older and older and older, the worlds collided, and I became my authentic self. But, it also was the times, because there was a lot of stigma with being gay. It's a lot different now, as you know. It's still there's people that are in the dark ages, but it was a matter of time that I felt more comfortable to be 100% me. Uh,
Mm.
that's what we all go through. Everybody has to find the place for them, whether you're a boy, girl, trans, whatever it is. We all have to feel comfortable in our skin, and it's a process. It's a process, and I went through that process in my way.
That is so empowering. You mentioned in previous interviews before that you didn't initially envision a career in PR or even entertainment. How did you find yourself on that path and what did you learn along the way?
I think I had an angel watching over me because I didn't really know what I was going to be. I luckily one of the jobs that I took to put myself through school, which was $5 an hour, was at a PR agency. A friend of mine said, we need somebody 10, 15 hours a week. Will you do it? And I said, okay. I needed the money and the hours were good, so I did it. And that changed my life. It changed my life because I didn't really have any exposure to PR. I was studying communications in school, but going to school and getting work experience are two different things, as you probably know. And
Yeah.
I got really lucky. I got lucky. I mean, that's really all it was. And it just kind of was natural. It fit into me. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy being social, but I also mentally was able to have a knack for marketing, planning events. All that, it all just fit together. I say every day that how grateful I am, and that the pieces to the puzzle of my life have maybe more easily than other people, have fallen into place. And I don't know how to explain it other than someone's been watching over me, helping me.
That is so beautiful. Maybe it's mom. Maybe it's mom, your guardian angel.
Very, very much so. Could be.
Now, you have owned your own PR firm for how many years now?
My name solo 11 years, and then years prior I had a partnership where my name was on the door. So I've been doing this a long time. I'm old. Been a long time. But my company, which is Goodman Public Relations, is almost 11 years old now.
Wow. Wow. Now, one of the most impactful parts of your story is your openness about embracing your identity. Can you share with us your coming out story? Like that, take us back to that time where you told mom or dad, hey, this is who I would like to be, or how did you bring it up to them?
Well, let me tell you, right before that happened, which was an eye opener for me, but it was very tragic. I was sexually assaulted in a gas station bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And I remember it vividly to this day, and I can remember the person that did it. I was kind of goody two shoes. I really wasn't exposed to a lot because I isolated. I didn't go to parties. I didn't do anything. But I remember even remember what I was wearing the day that the assault happened. But I was kind of exploring. I would dabble with wearing makeup to school and different kind of clothes. And the time that I got sexually assaulted, I was traumatized. And I thought, that was the moment, though, that I said, maybe there's something different about me. Maybe. And so 2 years after that, I started to realize my path, that I was gay. And I was in my house with my sister and my mom started talking poorly about one of our cousins who was gay. And I defended him. And she said, well, why? Why do you care? Are you gay? It was a very unpleasant experience. And I said, yes. And the world erupted. Like, my parents kicked me out.
Wow.
My parents kicked me out of the house. And I actually found an inner strength, and I said, I'm going to make this on my own. And a month later, they invited me back because I shut them off. I guess, at some point, like going through the process of being assaulted and all these things that you go through, it's like, you know what? I can't change this. I got to move forward. And if my family, who says they love me, can accept me, this is really not good. And I still, to this day, have a very distrust about people that say, I love you, I love you, I love you because of that.
Yeah.
How can you say you love you and then they hate you because you're gay? I mean, it's not really, it doesn't make sense.
It kind of contradicts each other.
It does. It does totally. But that's when it was. I came out left for a month, came back, and then I started living a life, that was going to the gay bars. I met some great friends that were not really partiers either. I got lucky. Again, I use that a lot, and I'm not anti-drug or anti-liquor. I'm just people being healthiest as they can be for themselves. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
anti anything. People do what they got to do for themselves. But for me, it wasn't good. For me, I didn't want that path. And then the drag, became Halloween. Everything just fell into place. Like it's cool to talk about this, but it's just a big blur at some point because
Yeah.
my life just got really good.
Take us back to that very moment that your parents kicked you out of the house. Where did you go? How were you able to survive that?
I also, besides doing the landscaping and babysitting and working here and there, I dog sat. I was a dog sitter. And there was a family in Dania Beach that had a big poodle. Jojo was the dog's name. And they let me stay there. So the timing worked out where they were leaving and there was some overlap. They let me stay. But I was lucky for that period of time. They were the grandparents, the family, related to the 3 kids that I took care of. It was all one big family. And I got lucky that I was able to crash there. And I was able to support myself because I worked all these jobs. And because I was staying there, I didn't have any rent. So again, I got lucky because I would have been on the street. I could have been on the street. But it had to happen that I had relationships and jobs and things that aligned with that time period. And I still would have left anyway. Like I things could have been different for me, but I could not tolerate that hate. I couldn't. Like it just didn't seem rational to me. I love you, we love you, but get out. Like it's still to this day, it's affected me with the many relationships I have because someone says, "Oh, we love you." Like I don't believe it. It takes me a long time to believe that someone says that they love me. They have to prove it. Words don't work.
Yeah. Now, were there any specific challenges or fears you faced when coming out, particularly in your personal and professional life?
Well, interestingly enough, one job, the PR job that I got for $5 an hour, I remember in my exploration, I got an earring, and my boss had a fit to the fact like you can't wear it to meetings, you have to put a Band-Aid on it, and I got a real sense that I needed to keep the world separate still. I got a real sense of that. And I would be in meetings, in high-profile meetings in Broward County, where, there would be discussion about political discussions about groups to target for different votes or things like that. And the gay community would always come up, and it was never positive. It wasn't positive. And I had to bite my tongue, and it really destroyed me to do that. But then I took another road to that path. I decided to become active, and I got on various boards, and I would say at meetings that I was the token gay. I would make it a point. And I started planting myself in different places. I even started writing a monthly, I can't remember if it was monthly or weekly, a column in a magazine that was a gay magazine called David Magazine back in the day. And I started writing a column about events that all people were welcome to because it was so separate. Like gay people went to gay events, and then these other events, gay people just didn't come. And I said, you know what? That's kind of I don't know if I could say that on here. That's not going to work for me. And I started writing, and I would feature events where everyone was welcome. Like there might be a gala the museum was doing. There might have been another charity event that people were all welcome. And I started to feel and encourage people to integrate. Why not? We were just worthy to attend, give our money to charities, and to be in the same platform as everybody else. And that's how I did. And I get all these awards now because for years I've been doing my time. I've served on board after board after board as a professional gay white male.
Wow.
And I think that it was positive because People um, respected me for my work. They were exposed to someone gay. And that's what it takes sometimes, is allowing education and exposure to happen. Some people you can't get rid of their hate, but a lot of people just need exposure. We're good people. We're no different. It worked for me. Again, I always preface that it worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but hopefully pieces of your journey, my journey, can help someone else.
That's so beautiful that you found your voice and you are aligned with your journey in that way. How did those experiences influence the way you support others in their own coming out journey?
Well, I respect everyone's decision to come out when they are. And it's not only coming out gay, it's coming out HIV positive, HIV negative, trans, whatever that journey is.
Mm-hmm.
People have to do that in their own time and space. And I, for one, will never tell anybody when is the right time, because only somebody internally knows that for them, because there's a lot of things that go with that, which is income, job, relationship. There's so many things that go with that. And, once someone has explored all of those avenues, and if it's the right time for them, then it's the right time. They might choose it's never the right time. I know people that still to this day don't say they're gay. They might sleep with men or have sex with them, but they won't say they're gay. But that's, the way they were brought up. And it's a comfort level, whether it's religious or whatever backgrounds, it's not comfortable for them. And I say, do what you got to do.
Mm.
Treat people good, be kind to people, don't abuse animals, don't abuse children, and we're good.
Yeah, I think many people struggle with the fear of judgment, especially when it comes to coming out, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who is still on the fence about coming out and is uncertain about how to take that step forward?
Well, I would say get your ducks in a row. Like when you make that choice, for me, again, everything had to be in a row. So I had to have a job, I had to have ways to support myself, had to have the right friends, social circle. So I would tell someone to have their ducks in a row. Have a support system. You got to have a support system. You can't just be isolated. Hopefully have income or a source of or a place to stay if it goes sour. Backup plans. Even to this day, like people have asked about my success, and I have always had a backup plan. If this business didn't do well, I could clean houses. If this business didn't do well, I could be an entertainer. Always had a backup plan. And I think it's really important when making a decision as to when to come out, is to think about all the things that could go wrong and have a solution to all those. So when it happens, you got a plan.
Yeah.
That's just how it worked for me. And I think that's true with a lot of things. It even applies to changing jobs. You got to have everything aligned. I said that word alignment. Align is very key, because in all circumstances, you got to have a plan.
Absolutely. Now, looking back, is there anything, Michael, you wish you had known or done differently in your own journey?
Yes. I wish, that's a really good question. In my trajectory of exploring the gay lifestyle and my life,
Mm-hmm.
I allowed people to enter my life that were not good. And it had consequences.
Mm.
It's very prudent to me to pick the people you flock with, that you connect with. Pick your friends wisely, because in many cases for LGBTQ plus people, we pick our family.
Mm-hmm.
Our family has abandoned us. Our family doesn't understand us. And I made some wrong choices in people that I chose in the past. And that is the one thing that really matters. Like, pick your friends wisely. Pick your family, your second family, wisely.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because my mom always used to tell me who you're hanging out with, and I'm going to tell you who you are.
Yes. I say birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
And it's really true.
Mm.
It's really true. So if you're hanging with a drug dealer,
people are going to think you do that.
That's what they think you are.
Yeah.
And it's not about income or job. It's about people that have like similar attributes: polite, honest, truthful, clean, whatever works for you. But for me, that was the one thing I wish I could change, because I went down a journey with some people that, I could have used the energy on a lot of better things.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important to, like you mentioned, surround yourself with successful people, because when you surround yourself with those type of individuals, it can only elevate your brand, your network, expanding your mindset, and being able to be, a powerful individual, right?
I want to clarify, it's not only successful people, it's people that want to do better, people that believe they can do better. Because, so you're the waiter, which is a great job, but then you really want to be the manager. Well, it's nice to have goals in life. So it's not always about success. It's just that someone that wants to aspire to be a good person is a good thing.
Yeah. Do you believe in the power of manifesting?
I think so. I think people set their own destiny. Is that what you're referring to? I think we set our own path. You kind of tell yourself you want to be something and do something that you can make it happen. Yeah.
Okay. Let me rephrase the question. Do you believe in the power of a vision board?
So when you say vision board, you're meaning like looking ahead and making things happen.
Yeah. Like creating a vision board for yourself. So every time you see it, you can remind yourself of those goals.
I think if that works for you, then that's great. For me, it was a mental vision.
Okay.
I will be honest that it had to do with material wealth. Like for me, because of my parents' struggle, like I wanted always to have a new car. I always wanted to have a nice house. And I'm being honest about that. It was material. My parents raised me well, so I already knew that I had good morals and good principles and things of that nature. But I wanted to live a good life and be comfortable. And so for me, material wealth at a younger age was what made me strive. My vision was those things. I want a big house. I want to travel. That's what worked for me in my vision board, but it was all mental.
I love that. I mean, yeah, some people have a actual vision board, on the wall, and yourself, you had a mental vision board. So that's so beautiful. Do you think that the landscape has changed for the LGBTQ plus community since you came out?
It totally has.
In what way?
I do think there's more opportunity for people to be authentic and be out, depending on where you live. Like I live in two places. As you know, I live in Fort Lauderdale and Palm Springs, so I call them the bubbles. But I think if I was in Oklahoma City, that wouldn't be the case. Yeah, I think even watching television, you see there's more characters, there's more celebrities and people that have come out. So yes, I do think that it's better. I do still think, and there will always be people that are, for religious purposes or whatever, are not comfortable with our lifestyle, don't understand our lifestyle. So in that regard, I think that's a constant. But to me, when our story is told and you can be more visible in public settings and on TV and in the movies, there's some growth. Nothing is perfect, but I do think there's growth. From when I came out, yes. Totally.
Absolutely. There's definitely more representation, even though we still need more representation on the bigger screen. One of the things that I would love to see is real transgender people playing transgender people, not a male famous actor playing a transgender woman.
That can happen. That will happen. I think that will happen. Probably.
You have built an incredibly successful career in public relations, special events, and philanthropy, all while staying true to yourself and your values. What role do you think authenticity plays in achieving success, and how has it impacted your career?
Well, I'm going to change the word to transparency, because my clients have been with me a long time. And I think it's my transparency in terms of accounting, in terms of who I am, in terms of how my staff works, is what has maintained my success. I wasn't always authentic, and that's why I changed the word to transparency, because I wasn't always out. I wasn't always. I didn't, even when I was doing when I did some of my performance work, people didn't know it was me. I kind of kept it on the QT, but I was transparent as much as I could, and that, is a form of authenticity. And it's a lot easier to be in that mode than to hide everything and to lie and to skirt around the issues. It's a lot better place to be in, especially at my age of 61 years old.
Absolutely. Transparency, I feel like transparency is key. I believe in that phrase, what you see is what you get. Now, in a world that often asks us to conform, how do you manage to balance staying true to yourself while building a career?
I'm just me. I'm not the stereotype that people think of, gay guys in tutus. It's never been me. I'm just a regular person. And so for me, conforming wasn't that hard. The only thing that was difficult to conform was when I chose to do female impersonation. That obviously makes things a little bit harder to conform. But no, I always, there was nothing outlandish about me except for a little bit when I was in my 20s exploring who I was. For the most part, I conform. I put on pants like everyone else. I put on shoes like everyone else. I brush my teeth like everybody else. So in terms of conformity, I don't really see that as an issue for me because I just do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Who I sleep with is really no one's business, and I don't make that public. I don't have an OnlyFans page, so it's not an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always say three things. I don't want to know what you confess with your priest. I don't want to know who you sleep with, and I also don't want to know who you vote for. Those are the three personal things that allow you to be you. I don't want to take that away from somebody. We all have freedoms and rights. I just want to be respected for who I am. I don't want to be beat up. I was gay bashed one time when I was younger. I just want to be in my own space and not hurt anybody and don't want anyone else to hurt anybody. It's that simple. We all breathe the same air. That's how simple it is. Simple.
Absolutely. You mentioned that authenticity wasn't something that you practiced in the past. How important do you think it is for the LGBTQ plus community to see leaders like you who have built their careers while staying authentic?
I think it's really important. I think for me, my transition to the professional life would have been a little different had I had some role models that were gay individuals that were successful. I didn't really have that. I always dated older guys when I was younger. I wouldn't call them role models, but again, it was the material thing because they would pick me up in the fancy sport car, dinner, buy me things, so it was a material thing again. I don't know. I just got lucky.
You have also done so much work giving back to the community through your Share the Good Fund and through your involvement in local LGBTQ plus organizations. What drives you to be so involved in supporting others?
My mother instilled with me, and it goes back to Christmas. Christmas in our house, I was brought up Jewish, but my mom was Catholic, and Christmas in our home was the biggest deal ever. My mother was like a saint and wanted everyone to experience the joy of getting something. And I think that's where it started because my parents weren't philanthropic, but I think it started there. And I said, Friday night, 2 nights ago, hosted a dinner in my office with 2 adopted families. And I said to some people that I told that I'm selfish. For me, giving them a wonderful night, gifts and food, I feel like I'm being selfish because it gives me so much joy. It gives me pleasure when I get to write a check to a charity, or I give someone homeless money, or give them clothes, whatever it is. I love that. It's selfish because it reminds me how grateful I am to do what I can do and to be blessed. And I wish everyone could experience that. And it doesn't matter how much you give. That's the thing. Like, you give someone $5, that $5 means the world to them. You give someone a pair of shoes, those shoes means they're not barefoot. So I think, for me, it's a selfish act. I'm very blessed that I can do it, and I pray that I can keep doing it because it's special for me. It makes me feel really good.
Mm. How can others in the LGBTQ plus community get more involved in giving back, especially if they're just starting to make a difference?
Easy. When I first started my career, for a little while, I was at a charity called Broward House. I started as the volunteer coordinator, and they
Mm.
worked with all different people that had all different backgrounds, from a Burger King cashier to a lawyer.
Yeah.
And you can give back by just connecting to an organization in town that you feel good about, donating your time. It could be 5 hours a week. It could be 5 hours a month. You could go take out dogs at the Humane Society. You could go do a call bank at the Pride Center. You could help at the symphony do a check-in at an event. I think for me, those connections that I made giving back and donating time were immeasurable. And you don't have to be rich to give back. You just have to be connected and be part of the human experience. So there's room for everyone to do something. There's no reason somebody can't do something. And sometimes a check is good if you don't want to donate your time, or you can't, and you could give $25 to Equality Florida or the Gay Men's Course, whoever it might be. You're contributing to the world around you, and you have to contribute to the world around you. You can't just say, oh, I hate that person. I hate that. Wish he wouldn't have been president. Oh, I hate this person. You got to make it happen around you. You got to build the world around you. And that's how it starts. If all of us did that, wow, there's power in that.
Absolutely. You got to plant those seeds so you can see them grow, right?
Same, even if you're in AA and you're a sponsor for somebody, you're giving back to the community. You're giving back. Whatever it takes, if you're connecting to help one person, you change someone's world. That's all it takes.
Mm. That's so beautiful.
It's contagious. It's contagious. That's what's good about it, because it makes you feel good.
What's been one of the most rewarding moments for you in your journey?
Rewarding journeys for me has been finding my career path, which has been a blessing. Finding my role as Michael Dina Cher, and performing, and becoming independent enough where I can help others. I think those three things have changed my life. I was going to say something like sweet and moppy about finding love, but love is great, but all the other stuff really has empowered me to be who I am today.
That's so fascinating. Now, Michael, I can't really talk to you without mentioning your alter ego, Michael Dean, as Cher. Your Cher performances have made you a national icon in your own right. How did this persona come to life, and what does performing as Cher mean to you personally?
Well, when I was a young boy, 8 years old or so, I had a crush. I was in love with Cher. My parents would put me to bed at 6 o'clock, wake me up for the Sunny and Cher show, I think, which was on at 8 o'clock. And I had an obsession with Cher. And about 11 years ago, I was invited to a party, come as your favorite Las Vegas act. And there's a drag queen that now lives in Palm Springs called Diva.
Mm.
Diva, I said, Diva, can you help me? Can I hire you to make me look? And she said, who do you love? I said, Cher. She said, I think that could be really good for you. And she transformed me into Cher. And I went to this party, and everybody was like, oh my God. That's how it started. It was a freak accident. And then a producer in California named Dan Gore, who had his own successful career as a George Michael impersonator and had his own series of drag cabaret shows, saw my pictures, and he invited me to come. And he kept saying, I can make you even better. Then the second time, I can make you even better. The third time, I said, okay, I'll come. And I went to California, and he hired Kevin Wiley at the time, who I didn't know at that time. And for hours, we played with makeup and hair and everything. And the next morning, he said, somebody called out sick. Can you get on stage? And that's how it happened.
Wow.
Professionally happened, and I praise God every day that came into my life, because it's a blessing to be able to entertain and to personify someone that I think is an icon and I admire so much. Cher.
I know that when we spoke offline, you said that Cher was a childhood icon for you. What aspects of her persona resonated with you the most growing up?
I think she has something that a lot of people wish they had, and that I try to maintain, is a free spirit. She has kind of mild rebel personality, but she conforms, but she pushes the limits. And I think I always loved that about her. She was quick-witted, smart. I never saw her being disrespectful. And I thought she was sexy. And there was a period in my life that I thought, oh, I wish I could be like that. Maybe that's my calling. And it's so funny how then 40 years later, I entertain as her now, But yeah, I think, she's also super talented, but I think she's just kind of her own free spirit. It's kind of want her to be authentic. And I've met her twice, and my dealings with her were both very positive.
Absolutely. Now, does performing as Cher give you a different way of expressing your true self or tapping into a creative side that you might not get to explore otherwise?
Well, when I'm performing as Cher, I'm not me. I cannot explain it. But when I am in my full Cher look and the curtain opens and I go out on stage, I don't know who I am. I'm only her. And it is the weirdest out-of-body experience, and I can't explain it. But again, I'm very blessed to be able to do it. My whole brain changes, and my mind is only visualizing her at the concerts when I've gone to concerts to see her or seen video performances. My mind is only there. I am only recreating her moves and her being, and I don't know who I am. I'm not Michael. It's really a very interesting experience. And for me, it's like kind of taking a drug and kind of separating from reality for a while. And sometimes I say I wish I could be that all the time, because I'm so blessed that the reaction is so favorable from the audiences. It's kind of like, oh, wow, I could get used to this, When you ask me that question, it's interesting because I'm not being authentic, because I'm not me. I don't personify Michael anymore. When the curtain opens, I'm not me.
Michael, now you mentioned you met Cher twice. Can you share with the audience and the listeners, how were your experiences when you met her?
So my two experiences with Cher were quite memorable. One was in a hotel room in West Hollywood. And I opened the front door and she said, hi, it's me. I opened my hotel room door. And she came in and we set up for a national interview. And I had to mic her and just kind of make sure everything was okay as a production assistant. And she sent me a CD and a book signed and a personal note 2 weeks later. And then the second time I met her was at a party in Miami. And I had in my sport coat pocket a magazine cover of me as Cher on the cover. And she was taken back that it was me and didn't believe it was me. And she then realized it was me because my friend said yes. And she was very complimentary. And then she said, do they love you? And I said, no, they love you. She said, good answer. And we have a picture together, her smiling. So my two interactions with her were amazing. And, I'll remember them to the day I die.
That is so beautiful. That's amazing that you have had the opportunity to meet her not once, but twice. Now, Michael, your story is still unfolding and you continue to make a huge impact in both your career and the LGBTQ plus community. What's next for you?
What's next for me is continued peace. I use that Cher song, You Haven't Seen the Last of Me Yet, a lot. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I have more to go in terms of my business career. Not to advance to be any more successful than I am now. I don't want to be bigger and larger. I just want to keep doing great work and do good in the community. And I have one Cher wish, and that is for Michael Dina's Cher to perform one time out of the country. So I want to be able to say I was international. So that is on my bucket list, to perform in London or somewhere outside the US. Other than that, I'm just grateful to continue life as it is. I have a really good life. I'm very, very grateful. I just want it to continue. No drama. No drama.
I love that. I love that. Now, what are you most excited about moving forward?
Well, there is a part of me that is excited about not full retirement, but a time where I have less stress. I have a house in Palm Springs and Fort Lauderdale, and every 2 months I go to Palm Springs. And as part of that experience, every 2 months, I work, but I work less and I have a lot more free time. When I leave there, I say, oh my God, this is what it feels like to be human. Because when I'm in my work mode, my business life is very demanding. And I sometimes lose the fact that I'm human. I don't feel human. I just am a robot. I want to have that experience more, to just breathe and be a lady who lunches. I forget what movie that was, or what interview that was, when somebody talked. Oh, it's Joan Rivers talked about ladies who lunch. But yeah, I think I look forward to. I never want to stop working, but I just need more time for me.
Yeah, more time to connect and, just be at peace and enjoy your time.
Yeah, totally.
How do you envision your legacy in terms of your career and the way you have shaped your community?
If I died today, I just would want people to say I was a nice guy, like that I did good for people, like I was not selfish, that I gave back, and and that I was a good entertainer. Like, it means a lot to me when you and others give me feedback about my philanthropy or performing. I just I don't like anyone never to not like me, so I just want people to say, oh, he was a nice guy, or oh, he really helped me. I think for me that would be a great legacy for me, is to just people to recognize that I was just a good person.
One of the things that truly stands out about your journey is how much you emphasize gratitude. If you had to give one piece of advice to someone who's still finding their way, whether in their career or in embracing their true identity, what would it be?
Well, you have to be yourself first. Be true to yourself. You have to align with the right people, and just find what works for you. I mean, it's really that simple. Like, because my story is mine, and you have to find what works with you. You might find that performing is all you need in life. You might find that giving back, donating your time, or writing checks to charities is good for you. You might find that, working at McDonald's is very appealing, and you love that. You love the camaraderie and serving fast food. You love that. So it's hard to answer because everyone's journey is so different. You got to find your place. You got to find what makes you tick, and you got to find the right people to enjoy it with. I don't want to preach, but find healthy ways of living that work. That allow you to live a long, happy life.
I love that. To summarize it, pretty much, find your voice, find an army of individuals that has your back, and being true to yourself.
Yeah, it all goes together.
I love that. All right, Michael, we are reaching the end here, and we are about to enter my favorite segment of the show where I get to ask you some rapid fire questions and you have to answer them with the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Okay.
Michael, what is your favorite LGBTQ book, movie, or song?
Born This Way, Lady Gaga.
Oh, what does pride mean to you today?
It means representing yourself in a positive way. Pride is being a good role model as a LGBTQ person, doing good in the world, and being someone your mother can be proud of.
One word you will use to describe your coming out experience.
Personal.
A piece of advice you would give your younger self.
Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up.
What's something you wish more people understood about the LGBTQ plus community?
That we're no different. We laugh, we cry, we go to the bathroom. Our blood is red. We're no different.
What's the most unexpected lesson you have learned along the way?
That some people are bad. They're just not good. You can't fix it.
Michael, who's your LGBTQ plus role model or hero?
I don't really have one, but I'm going to use Cher as that person because she lives authentically. She has been good to the gay community. She's been good to the elephants. She's been good to a lot of causes. So I'm going to say Cher.
That's beautiful. What do you believe is the key to thriving in both personal and professional life as a LGBTQ plus person?
Being grounded, being true to yourself, knowing who you are, and having a thick skin. Sometimes it's hard not to take things personally, but you gotta move on. And not everything's about you.
One thing you wish to accomplish in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm going to go back to Michael Dina's Cher. She's got to perform in Europe.
Oh, I love that. And I hope that I can be there in the audience.
I would love that.
Now, Michael.
Private plane. If I could be Cher only for a day like that, right?
I love that. I love that. And the last question is a message to someone struggling with their identity today.
Look in the mirror. You are who you are. You are a good person. You are worthy. You're worthy. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to find things that make you happy and have a plan. Have a plan in life to, find your peace, find your place. But you're no different than anybody else. You're no different than anybody else. So just remember you're worthy.
Absolutely. Having a plan is so important. So you're making sure you're on track, and finding your voice is even more important so you can become your true authentic self. Michael, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring journey with us today. You have given us so many insights into the power of authenticity, resilience, and giving back. I know our listeners will walk away feeling empowered by your story. To everyone listening and watching, remember, you are enough and your journey is your own. No matter where you are in life, always know that you are loved, you are supported, and you can live out your truth. Thank you for joining us on Out of the Closet, Into the World. We'll see you next time. With gratitude, Ada. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to follow me on social media to stay updated and join this movement. I would love to hear your thoughts, so comment below. With gratitude, Ada.